Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is part 2, the aftermath of the case against an authorized dealer in Illinois that is accused of selling out the back door Rolex watches and Patek Philippe watches. Before we start the video, let me just say that none of this has been adjudicated. All of this information comes from a 52-page court filing, and I'm simply reporting what I got from that. These are all unproven allegations, and we can't speak to the truth of them. So keep that in mind. All right, now that that's out of the way we left it is we have our 3 soon-to-be whistleblowers, okay? And they're working there. We're talking about Giuseppe, who had worked at CD Peacock, the store in question, since 2012, Nellie, who was hired in 2016, and Susanna, who was hired in 2018. They are, many would say, the good guys. They're just trying to sell watches and do the right thing. And then we've got the schemers, all right? Hired around the same time as Susanna in 2018, Ying Duan, a Chinese national that was there on a student visa, and the person who was brought in 2017 to clean up the store, Hill. Ying Duan, if this is to be believed, was the one doing the dirty work. Again, check out video 1 for all the interesting details, link in the description. And Hill just made sure that everything was clear for her to do so. Also, you have the CEO and the owner, all right, Seymour and Baum. Again, at best, they, here in 2019, when it was sort of the height of the scheme, just were turning a blatant blind eye to everything, all right? So here we are, it's 2019, and we've got our 3 heroes that just want to do the right thing. They reach out to the owner, all right? I think it was Susanna contacted the owner, Seymour, and he ignored her. I mean, at best, he just was like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I don't see anything, I don't hear anything, nothing's going on. You know, that's at best. But I think it's going to be clear that he was very possibly more involved than that. I want to say it was after Susanna was fired, she reached out again to Seymour, and he appeared to be a little irritated. Who is this woman, and who gave her my contact information? I seem to recall his reaction to that. Anyway, at best, he just didn't want to hear it. And so here it is, 2019. It's at the height of the scheme, and Ying Duan is just selling these watches out the back door. But there's one problem, and it's the whistleblowers, or soon-to-be whistleblowers. They didn't agree with what was going on. Again, they were trying to tell the owner, and the schemers tried to get them on board, but they didn't want to participate. And so basically the schemers, if this is to be believed, must have thought, we got to get rid of them, okay? And that's where the sort of the sad part of the story starts, because one by one they were fired. And look, we often look at these soap operas with mirth, and they are super interesting. And we often look at watches as, at best, I mean, you know, diversions, and what can go wrong? I mean, you know, first world problems, if anything, right? But you can see here that people were hurt, and it's really troubling. And these were people that were just trying to do a good job, right? And just be honest and follow the rules that Rolex set out, and sell their watches to people that just wanted to buy them, okay? So anyway, the schemers, how did they get rid of Susanna, Giuseppe, and Nellie? Well, Nellie was the first to go. And Nellie at one point had said, talking about Hill, the guy brought up to clean up things, and Duan, saying something like, Hill, are you in bed with Duan? Meaning, are you in cahoots with Duan? are you scheming with Duan? That's the way the phrase goes. Well, they took that phrase as a little bit of sexual harassment. And then Duan also, Ying Duan, the Chinese national, also alleged something along the lines of Nellie showing her something off color. And so it was, if I'm understanding this correctly, on the grounds of something like sexual harassment that they got rid of Nellie. All right, so 1 down, 2 to go. All right, the next to go was Susanna. And again, Susanna was hired at the same time as Ying Duan in 2018. And first they cut Susanna's hours from like 40 to 23 hours. And then Hill started only allocating watches to Ying Duan. All right, and again, Ying Duan was selling out the back door bundles of watches. All right, hard to sell watches, and also the hard to get models. Now, they started pressuring the whistleblowers, or soon to be whistleblowers, to order the hot models for customers. But when these hot models would come in, give them to Ying Duan to sell. And so Susanna had a hard time selling watches because they wouldn't give her watches. In fact, she had customers that wanted watches, and one time they got a bunch of really desirable models. They only gave her one, okay? And they were apparently really pissed that she got one and sold it in a legitimate way. Okay, allegedly they were really upset about that. And so basically what they did is they cut her hours. They wouldn't let Susanna get the watches. And a while later, they fired her because she wasn't meeting sales goals. Okay, now think about that for a minute. You have an employee, you cut their hours, and you don't give them anything to sell, and then you fire them for not selling anything. All right, so Susanna was gone. All right, she still remains apparently unemployed to this day. And then you have Giuseppe. Again, he'd worked there since 2012, family man, and married to a woman. And she is of, I think his wife is of Eastern European descent. And that kind of comes into play here because they got Giuseppe fired by claiming that he was the one selling watches out the back door. Apparently, an Eastern European man came in and you needed to show your ID when you bought a watch. This Eastern European man showed his ID, and it was a valid ID, but it was going to become invalid soon, all right? Like a week or 10 days, whatever. At the time of purchase, it was apparently a valid ID. Well, they found that and they said, that's kind of sketchy. It's sort of like an almost invalid ID. This guy you're selling to is of Eastern European descent. Your wife is too. And the way I read it, they charged him or accused him of trying to sell watches out the back door, of him scheming. Essentially, they accused Giuseppe of doing exactly what Ying Duan was doing, but he wasn't, all right? And it all rested on this, I guess, Eastern European guy who had a valid ID to buy the watch, but I guess it was going to be an invalid ID, needed to be renewed soon. And so that was the grounds for his firing. And keep in mind, he had worked there since 2012, and everything was fine until apparently Ying Duan showed up and they got this scheme underway. You're talking about Giuseppe here, and a family man, married. He apparently had tried for a long time to have a kid with his wife. They finally did. Here he is, new baby, breadwinner, family man, and they fired him because he wouldn't play ball. It's sad, all right? And, people got hurt because of this, and it was because of the schemers and stuff. So it's an ugly business, all right, and a lot of nastiness. And you got to feel sorry for a guy that was just since 2012 trying to sell watches, do the right thing, take care of his wife, take care of his baby. And it kind of makes me mad. So Nellie's gone, Susanna's gone, Giuseppe is gone, all of the people trying to do the right thing, trying to call attention to this corruption are out of the way. And, you know, it raises a lot of questions. What happened to Ying Duan? She's still in the States. I guess is not. Hill eventually, before Giuseppe was fired, was let go under mysterious circumstances. And they brought another guy in who talked a good game, but was pretty much continuing to make sure that this scheme was underway. So because of that, it's hard to assume that the owner or the CEO didn't know what was going on. Now, it leaves a lot of questions unanswered. I mean, who was the real mastermind behind it? I mean, we know that Ying Duan was doing the dirty work, all right? And that Hill was overseeing it. If he didn't have a hand in it himself, he was just making sure that nothing was getting in Ying Duan's way, including those whistleblowers. But was it Ying Duan's idea? Was she the one that masterminded this? Was it Hill? I mean, he was the guy brought in to, quote, clean things up. Did he have the idea to do this? Was the decision made to do this after Ying Duan was hired in 2018? Or did they hire her so they could do this? Did they hire her knowing that, okay, we'll have a hand in her immigration and visa status in some way, so she can do this? We don't know, all right? We don't know, and hopefully we'll get answers through this. But again, Rolex is a victim of sorts here, and they have to be very upset, I imagine. And so it'll be interesting to see if CD Peacock can retain their authorized dealer status. And I'm going to make no speculations on that, but good luck, okay? Guys, what do you think? You know, in the end, it's a tragedy because the good guys were fired, and it raises the question, how much is this going on? And again, we never would have really known about this, I want to say, if it hadn't been for the honest players. And look, consider subscribing, drop a comment in the comment section, give this a thumbs up, let me know what you think. Take care, thanks for watching, and keep in mind, everything in this video, pure speculation, reporting on allegations that haven't been proven. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.